Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show. Appreciate you hitting that click, playing this video, and hanging out with me, man. There's an audio version that'll be out there a little bit later as well. But we're going to have some interesting things to talk about on this week's episode in the movie realm of this YouTube page. Of course, I do have the HHN show that comes on this YouTube as well, man. So if you hit that like, subscribe, and share, all that good stuff, highly appreciate it. All kinds of fun stuff going on. But that's not what we're here to talk about, man. We got a movie review for you, spoiler free as always. Film is going to be F, Marry, Kill. And we got some Wizarding World show stuff to talk about. We've got some horror franchise news to talk about, and maybe some other things to talk about on this week's episode, man. So without further ado, let's jump into this movie. There is your poster for F, Marry, Kill. The movie is rated R for sexual material, language, some violence, and drug use. Runs in at 1 hour, 37 minutes, classified as a comedy, mystery, thriller film. When true crime junkie Eva, played by Lucy Hale, is shoved into the dating app world by her besties on her 30th birthday, she suddenly finds herself at the center of a real murder case. As new details about the murders are revealed on her favorite podcast, she realizes that one of the three men she's dating could be the infamous swipe right killer terrorizing the city. Now it's up to Eva and her ride or die friends to figure out which date is an F boy, a potential husband, and a killer in this whip smart comedy thriller. So there you go. That is the synopsis for F, Marry, Kill. I'm not even going to hide it. I watched this movie solely because Lucy Hale is in it. She's one of my favorite actresses. Been that way since Pretty Little Liars, and since then, been watching anything that she will be in. So I give her the benefit of the doubt with stuff. So when it comes to this movie, I watched it on Voodoo. I think it's called Fandango at home now, powered by Voodoo or something, whatever. That's where I watched it. You can rent it for like $6.99, or you can buy it for $10. Like, screw it, I'll buy it, whatever. I mean, at that point, anytime I see that on Voodoo, I'm just like, hey, you can rent it for $7. You can buy it for a couple dollars more. Like, just buy the freaking thing. You never know. And sometimes watching a movie, I didn't really know anything going to this movie other than Lucy Hale was in it. So I was like, hey, this could be a random gem that I find of a movie. Like anything can happen. Like on any streaming service, you can find that and all that stuff. I remember walking through Walmart during Halloween years and years and years ago and saw Orphan. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Pick that up without knowing anything about it for like $5. Loved that freaking movie. It was an awesome gem of a movie. So I didn't know anything going into this movie. That's the first time I read the synopsis, all that stuff. I saw the trailer a long time ago when it first dropped and all that, but it's a movie coming out this weekend. Nothing else I really could. There's other stuff that was at the movie theaters, but I couldn't make it to the movie theaters this weekend. So I was like, you know what? I'll rent this thing, man. This will be the movie we check out and watch for this review. So you heard the synopsis there. Basically, 30-year-old birthday. She's gone through some heartbreak. Just went through a recent breakup. Her friends pushed her into dating apps. She was never interested in doing dating apps. I understand you, girl. Um, she does that. She ends up getting, hooked up with people and all that stuff. And while all this is going on, the swipe right killer is cameras, is doing the killing around there, killing anybody that's using the dating apps and all that stuff to hook up with people and everything. That is the target of the killer in this movie. So she ends up dating three people, and she's listening to this true crime podcast that is telling all the details about these killings that are going on. And lo and behold, her friends are like, "Oh, be careful!" And even though the friends set her up over here, they're still like, "Ah, be careful with some of these people and all that stuff." And then some of the clues in the podcast that she's listening to seems to come up with the people she's dating. So it becomes this who's who and what's what of the three people that she's dating, and any of them could be the killer or whatever. So that's kind of the whole idea of this movie and trying to solve the mystery. That's the mystery aspect of the film, and the thriller aspect, in all honesty, of the film, is trying to solve and figure out which one of the three could be the killer, which is an interesting idea, right? It's something that takes that game that people play on the internet, I guess is what they do it, or in group circles and all that stuff, the F, Marry, Kill game and all that, and turning it into a movie. It's an interesting idea and all that stuff. Didn't even think about this, but this is like the second game thing that Lucy Hale's done a horror movie with, because she did Truth or Dare back in the day. So interesting concept of an idea for sure. I'll give it that credit, and all that, which is funny because this movie, and this happens a couple of times with other films. I think about it last year with the first Omen and Immaculate, how you have films that are kind of similar releasing in the same year, but there's still differences in there and all that stuff, but they have like a bit of a similarity to them. You can go back years ago with that Tom Cruise and Will Smith both released a movie. like I think it was Oblivion and After Earth or something like that, which kind of had the similar vibes to it. So this movie is coming out a month after we just had a film called Hard Eyes, which, if you've seen that movie, I did review it. Please check out that review if you haven't seen it already. If you did watch it, thank you. Um, so that movie followed Hard Eyes Killers killing people on Valentine's Day, or I think that's the whole premise. So it's killing couples on Valentine's Day and all that stuff. So, and if you hear any noises in the background, my dog is in here. He's over here on the floor snoring and making noises. So it's cute and adorable, is what it is. All right, where was I? Hard Eyes. So Hard Eyes killer targeting couples on Valentine's Day. So different, like different aspect. This is a killer that's targeting people who are using dating apps and all that stuff. Swipe right killer. If you're watching this video, you know what's going on right now. Cameras, you gotta love them. So the idea and the concepts are close. They're evolving around a killer following around couples and all that stuff, or following around relations, but similar but not the same movies. And Hard Eyes is a much better movie. So with this film, I had a good enough time. I thought the mystery aspect was fun, trying to figure out who the killer could be and all that stuff, and wrapping around there. I did pick it up kind of quickly while watching the movie. I did pick that up pretty quickly who it was going to end up being, but um, it was an interesting idea. It's an interesting concept that I think they did pretty well. What are you doing? Stop it. I'm sorry, dog down here. So I like that aspect, but I think it was missing something. Like I'm glad this was like a rental for me. Well, I ended up buying it, but I will watch it again. It's not one of those movies that I've bought where I'm like, I'm never going to watch this again. I can't believe I bought this. I will watch it again at some point in time, but I wasn't overly impressed with the film overall. Like I thought it was entertaining enough. Thought it was a good idea. I think the acting is okay. Um, the story is probably the best part of the movie. Just following along and all this stuff, and it is very comical. Like there are moments I was watching the movie and I did laugh out loud. I LOL'd at some of the stuff that happened in the movie because it was pretty hilarious. Like I think the comedy aspect of the movie is probably the best part. Surprised to see is rated R, but I guess sexual material and the language mostly because the violence in the film is not all that much. Like it's not too much violence involved in this movie right now while watching it and all that stuff. Sorry, this dog is capturing my attention. So last time the dog's on the show, not really. The dog will always be around, but it was a fine enough movie. It was an enjoyable enough movie. I will watch it again for sure, but it's nothing like Hard Eyes. Nothing nearly as brutal or gory. Like, let's put it this way: Hard Eyes is a romance film, uh, a horror movie surrounded by a romance film. This movie is a thriller. It's not really a horror movie. Did I say that right? I don't know. I'm distracted. But Hard Eyes is definitely more brutal. It's more violent. It's got a lot of more gore to it and all that stuff. So I can understand why that movie like that would be rated higher. But this movie, there's a little bit, not much gore at all in this movie. It's like just like a stabbings, and um, the comedy is hilarious. Yeah, not much romance going on. It's really just hooking up, right? So. I mean, that's what those apps are for, I guess. I don't really use them. Never have, and never will. I think I tried it once. And I was like, this is stupid. Like for like a day, way back in the day, long time ago. A buddy told me to check it out. I was like, all right, whatever. Hated it. I have no interest in that stuff. Even more so now because I'm smarter now. I'm older, wiser. You might see some of the gray hairs if you're watching the video. Anyways, F Mary Kill. It's fine. It was entertaining enough, worth a watch. Rent it instead of buying it, but it's worth a good enough time if you're just looking for like a goofy comedy horror, not even horror movie, thriller mystery movie. It's good enough for a fun little watch time, but it's nothing spectacular. It's nothing amazing. It's nothing interesting. It's not as good as Hard Eyes, which will be compared to, of course, but it was okay. Like I think that's the best way for me to put it is that it was okay. Like I had an entertaining enough time with it. Again, I like Lucy Hale, so maybe there's a little bit of bias thrown in there, but um, it was fine. It was okay. Like it was okay. I like what they did with the movie. So it gets it gets an okay. It's worth. I never tell anybody not to watch a movie because all movies are subjective. But like I would say rent it instead of buying it, like I did. So there you go. But that is my quick thoughts on F Mary Kill. If you saw it, let me know what your thoughts were in the comments, man. So going from there, as I pet my puppy's head, um, going from there, let's jump into the news. We'll jump into horror news first, since we're talking about Close to Rome. Again, that's not a horror movie. I just talked about it was more of a thriller film. But Scream has done another casting, and Another one of those casting that has people scratching their heads, but I think kind of making a little bit clearer point of what they're going with this movie now, supposedly. So Scream 7 has announced that none other than David Arquette, Dewey himself, is back for the next Scream film. So that falls in the line of just questionable things that this movie is going to be, in the line of questionable issues that this movie is causing. Um, so they've announced several people that are coming back, all of which have been killed off in the other films. They announced Matthew Lillard being back, Foley being back, all that stuff. They've announced them coming back, and now they announced David Arquette coming back, which I think clears up the fact that if you saw Scream 5 and 6, and it's from the same team, if I remember correctly, they have Kevin Williamson behind it this time, but it's in that movie, Melissa's character, Tara, Sam. I haven't watched those movies in a while. I have issues with those movies. I think she was Sam. Sam Carpenter, the Carpenter twins, Carpenter sisters. They Her character is the daughter of Billy, and she sees Billy's ghost throughout the movies. And I think that's where we're going to end up going with this movie as well. As Nev is back, we're focused back on Sydney's storyline. So I think the idea is there's two ideas here. One being that she's going to be going through issues as killings are still going on. They're affecting her family. Now it's probably going to come closer to her family than ever now that she's got daughters and all that stuff. And it's probably going to affect her in some kind of way there. So where she's seeing ghosts, she's seeing Billy, she's seeing Stu, she's seeing Dewey, she's seeing uh, her stepbrother, all that stuff. All these people who've died off in these movies. We'll talk about this in a second. So there's that. There's another aspect of is this. They're saying that the killer in this film is going to be using AI face recognition things to help him in some way with this stuff. I don't know if it's going to be through doing videos or putting it on the mask, because the mask is very iconic Ghostface. So you don't mess with that mask, right? There's no way you mess with that mask. But there's that rumor out there that the killer's going to be doing something with AI, and that would make a little bit more sense about how these killers characters are characters who've been killed off in other movies are coming back. Um, so that's the two, I guess, logical ways you would do it. Or you just freaking bring all these dead characters back. Stu, something people have been wanting for a while for that character to return. I mean, he was what? He had a TV dropped on him, right? He was stabbed and then had a TV dropped on him. Um, one of those big TVs, one of those big old 90s TVs that were heavy, dropped on his head. I don't know if it electrocuted him or not, but it was dropped on his head. You could probably feasibly say he somehow survived it. I mean, those things are heavy. It would cause some damage and would hurt. I don't know if it would kill you or not. Not going to look to see if that's something that would happen or not. But there's possibility there. A lot of the other characters were shot in the freaking head. Like it's hard to come back from being shot in the head and all that stuff. So, I mean, those TVs were heavy. Could you smash somebody's head with those TV? I don't know. And there's a long discussion you can have with that character. But I remember he was feeling woozy from being stabbed too deep. I remember that. But I don't know whether he's the live character or not. The main thing that I think is happening here is I think that team is very desperate. Like all of this sounds like desperation to me. Why would you even announce these things? These things would have been amazing to have gotten freaking out of nowhere seeing in the movie. Like it would have been amazing. It would have been incredible. You telling me I'm sitting in theater and all of a sudden freaking Dewey pops up out of nowhere? Freaking Stu's back out of nowhere? That would have been cool to see and experience. Now we know they're going to be in the movie. Like you've announced all this stuff. The only one you haven't announced, which is going to piss me off if she's not in this movie, is Emma Roberts. Because if you've announced all these other ones, you better get her in this movie. Like she's one of the better ghost faces. She was a cool ghost face. She had actual freaking cool stuff that she was doing in her movie. Like you're not gonna have her back, but you're bringing these other ones back. Like what is this movie? Like that, I think that's the problem. And maybe I'm a little harsh on it because I'm just sick of the Scream franchise in general at this point. Those last two movies have really annoyed me, especially that last one. But I don't know, man. Like what? Why announce these things? Like, that's the thing I hate. Is like movie trailers giving away way too much information, and freaking studios just telling you way too much. And again, they have to be scared, whether people want to take it serious or not. About people like, oh, we're boycotting. What's the name? Is it Spyglass? I think it's Spyglass that does these movies. Like people talking about boycotting them for what they did to Melissa, which fine, right? You know, they did her wrong. They did her extremely wrong. So fine, if you want to boycott them for that, I get it. I understand it. Um, yeah, Spyglass. So if you if you listen to the audio version, you don't see me making faces at the video. That's why you should watch the video. See this handsome face making funny faces. But I don't get it. Like I don't fully understand at all how you get into a world where that makes any kind of sense for them to tell you that these people are going to be in the movie unless they're desperate for attention and desperate to get people to see the film. The Scream movies have made bank, like they've made money, but I also don't think Scream has had any controversy towards it since what they've done to Melissa. So that you tell me how I'm different and in the comments if you want to, but why would you ever announce this stuff? You shouldn't announce it. That's beyond stupid to announce. Like, like maybe you can get away with announcing the stepbrother returning, maybe, but Dewey, David Arquette returning, freaking Stu returning. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? How is any of that make sense in any world that you're going to announce something that big of a character? It would be incredible to see show up. And now we expect them to be, unless you're like, do we expect them to be the Ghostface killer? So, ha ha ha! Look, it's somebody else. That's not fun. Like that's not fun at all. Like I don't know, man. This Scream movie, I don't know about the Scream movie. So again, it's either freaking Star Wars Force Ghost, stupid AI things that they're doing. Didn't that movie Afraid with the big AI in it? Didn't they do the same thing where they had like mask on their faces of just robotic things or something like that? I don't know. I didn't like that movie, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm so done with Scream. I don't know at this point. We'll see what happens when that movie comes out, but I think it's beyond stupid what they're doing. All right, let's see. Before we get into the biggest news of the episode, real quick, Joe Russo was talking about the upcoming Marvel film. We do talk Marvel on here, even though this is a primarily DC show. We do talk some Marvel stuff. Don't really have any DC stuff to talk about on the show. But Joe Russo said recently that Robert Downey Jr. is so immersed in the role of Doctor Doom that he's so dialed in. And can you just say that he's, quote, writing backstory and costume ideas? So that to me, one is really awesome. Love Robert Downey Jr. I think he was fantastic as Tony Stark. Seeing him come back as Doctor Doom, not preferred, but we know he'll be doing a good job. And hearing all that stuff, he's working hard on putting his creation into the character and all that stuff. So what storyline are they telling? Because if he's writing backstory for Doctor Doom, and he's coming up with costume designs and all that. Like, what are they planning on doing with this character? That's the interesting part to me, because obviously there is a backstory. Like, there's a huge backstory with the character that people close to the source material know and all that stuff. And of course, we all know movies take liberties, they Hollywood it up and all that stuff, but there's pretty known stuff out there about the character's look and backstory. So, what is that going to play into is a very interesting thing. It was really cool to see Robert Downey Jr. get involved in all that. All right. And final bit of news to talk about on this week's episode is the Harry Potter show. So we talked about it last week that John Lithgow has confirmed he will be playing Albus Dumbledore in the HBO series that is supposed to be all the books, deeper dive into all of the books and all that stuff and all that. And I gave my thoughts on that last week. And there's two more rumors of casting for this week. And I'm going to pull up the picture here as I'm saying who it is. So here you go. There is the picture of the rumored casting. We've got Janet McTeer. I'm going to mess up these names. Janet McTeer, who's in negotiations to play McGonagall, Professor McGonagall. And we have Papa Esado. Suck with name, sorry. Close to portraying Professor Snape. HBO declined any comments. That's by only saying, quote, we appreciate that such a high profile series will draw a lot of rumor and speculation. As we make our way through pre-production, we will only confirm details as we finalize them. So again, remember, these are absolute rumors. So Janet there for McGonagall, I saw an interesting thing in that article I was just reading that she's only a couple years younger than the late great Maggie Smith, who portrayed the character in the first film. So we get that. That's cool. We're fine with that. And Janet, you probably see her in Ozark, or maybe came across her in the menu. Even hey, the Woman in Black, Dana Radcliffe was in that. Wow, that rhymed. Okay. Anyways, so you might know who she is or run into her stuff. Now, Papa Asadu, which I suck at names, you might know him from Gangs of London, which is still running, Lazarus Project, Men, stuff like that. So all that stuff, and that's the one that's caused problems. A lot of people haven't really said anything about Janet. Um, so And a lot of people are screaming, "Why did you get Adam Driver? Adam Driver's right there." Maybe Adam Driver doesn't want to do it. You ever think about that? Maybe he doesn't want to do it. So obviously, they would be changing the race of Snape. I don't remember if they described Snape in the book or not of how Snape looked. All right. So I was drawing a blank, so I Googled it. So when it comes to the Harry Potter books, Snape originated as a character. The Hogwarts professor has a pretty solid physical appearance. He's described as a thin man with sickly looking skin, a large hooked nose, and greasy black hair that reaches his shoulders. Now, notice in there they didn't say that he was a white man or a black man or an Asian man or anything like that. He was just a man. What are you mad about? What are you mad about? Yes, I know you saw the fantastic work of Alan Rickman as Professor Snape in the movies. He was fantastic. He was awesome. Absolutely incredible. Anybody following that role after him has a lot of work cut out for them. But again, the character in the book didn't describe his skin color at all. All they said about his skin is that it's sickly looking skin. So what are you mad about? What are you mad about? Again, rumor hasn't been confirmed casting or anything, but what are you mad about? What are you really mad about? It reminds me of people who got upset about Ariel being a black woman. More timely, Snow White comes out what next week or two. People are mad about a Colombian actress playing Snow White. Fictional cartoon characters. What are you mad about? Cut it out. What are you mad about? I know I keep saying it, but it has to be said. What are you mad about? What is the problem? What is the problem? Like, yes, there are cartoon characters that you've seen in those books and all this stuff, or in those shows and everything, but it doesn't matter. They're still fictional characters. This is a character that in the books doesn't describe his skin color. You have only seen Alan Rickman play him in movies. Other than that, so what is the problem? Like what is the actual problem you're having here? That's the thing you got to look at. That's the thing you got to think about. Because I don't care. I'm going to watch the show. Casting doesn't bother me. Changing skin color. I don't remember people being this upset about freaking Nick Fury. Nick Fury is white in the comics. Obviously, Samuel L. Jackson plays him in the movies. It happens, man. Like it happens. What are you mad about? Like just watch the stuff. Like there's much bigger things in the world that you can be upset about than fictional characters in television shows or movies. Like it baffles me. Like this man seems to be a good actor. He's been nominated for Emmys and all that stuff. He could probably do a really good job. I don't know. I haven't seen his work as Professor Snape yet. If he's even been cast, he hasn't even officially been cast yet. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So let's calm it down. Let's take it easy and all that stuff. Let's take it easy, man. Like again, there's other things in the world that are much more, needing your power than that. And all that stuff. Was it expected? No. Has it happened? No. It's just a rumor, and we'll see what happens from there. But it's always been weird to me how people get upset about fictional characters casting. It is what it is, man. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. We'll see how it all works out if it actually ends up happening. All right, man. And before we end the show here, I want to show off this really cool thing that my brother Tombstone Josh got me. Be sure to check out his show, The Metal Groove. He's always got some cool stuff going on over there. But check this thing out. You probably saw it in the background now that it's moved. But look at this. Jurassic Park laser disc, man. It's the first time I've heard of laser disc and all that stuff. I've heard about them in the history of the world and all that, but I've never actually seen one in person. Um, there's the back of it right there. freaking laser disc, dude. So this thing, I guess, like records, but for movies. So you open it up, looks like, whoa, don't fall, guy. Looks like that. Looks very cool. And then there's your laser disc action as it's falling out. So yeah, it looks very much like a record. Record. I don't have a laser disc player or anything like that, but very cool, very awesome, very appreciative. It's really cool. It's my all-time favorite film, so to have this as a part of the Jurassic collection that I kind of have going on is really cool. Hey, we just talked about Sam Jackson. He's in this movie as well. But that's gonna do it for this week's episode, man. So appreciate you joining in and listening to me ramble on. Get a little serious there for a moment, but we followed it up with some goofiness with Laserdisc, but all stuff that needed to be said. So, talked about the film F Mary Kill. You can rent it now everywhere. It's like $6, $7, or you buy it for $10 if you just want to buy it. Seems to make more sense to do that. Then we talked that Harry Potter show rumors. We talked Robert Downey Jr. being creative with the Doctor Doom character, and we talked about what the hell is the Scream franchise doing. So if you have any thoughts on any of that stuff, drop it down in the comments. I will not take on hateful comments about rumored casting because, again, fictional characters. But I appreciate you hanging out with me, man. We'll have more stuff to talk about with next week's episode. And again, make sure to look out for my Halloween Horror Night show, Into the Fog with Wolfman Rob, as we talk all kinds of Halloween Horror Nights fun. Latest episode out now talking about Boris Schuster. You can check it out video format on here or audio format on the Death Curse Club. So all kinds of fun stuff going on as always. And I'd like to remind you all to treat the world with kindness, be kinder to everybody. Again, don't worry about fictional characters, man. Worry about the continuation of your character. Fight for what you believe in, fight for your truth, fight for your abilities, right? You have capable things inside of you that you are very talented and before by all means deserve to fight for your dreams. So believe in yourself. You're capable of incredible things. You do truly matter, and just continue to follow and chase those dreams, man. Whatever it is, if you think it's too tough, man, that's just helping building the diamond you are, man. That's the pressure on you to help build that diamond. So keep fighting, keep going. You are incredible. You matter. You are capable. So remember all that to keep going forward. Treat the world with kindness, and it'll bring it back to you. So, and without further ado, we end every week's episode with this quote that I will someday get tattooed on me. Maybe tattoos are expensive, but nonetheless, still powerful, still meaningful. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all